Da 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 da. Today we're going to be doing the Bluesmobile. This Bluesmobile came from Johnny Lightning, I think back in like the 90s. And Blues Brothers has always been one of my favorite movies. And in my opinion, best car chase movie ever. I mean, come on. They ruined like hundreds of cop cars. They're going over 100 miles an hour through downtown Chicago, and they destroyed a whole mall. I mean, how you can't top that. So we're going to be doing this Bluesmobile. It's already pretty good, just the way it comes from Johnny Lightning. But I was watching the movie again the other day for like the 100th time or whatever, and I just thought it'd be really cool. So it doesn't look like the interior is the right color, and then the car is just kind of missing the patina, and the base itself is just, the metal base. So we're going to detail that out to look more correct, kind of detail out the grill of the car and the front push bar. We'll get this thing cracked open. It comes with this little Blues Brothers kind of collector card thing. There's nothing on the back, but it comes with that. We're not going to be putting the microphone on the roof, just because I see a lot of people that build Bluesmobiles in real life replicas of the car, and a lot of times they'll put that microphone on the roof. But really, for like 90% of the movie, there's no microphone on the roof of the car. So, I don't know, it just seems kind of unnecessary. So here's our car. Here's a look underneath the car. So lots of good detail. Exhaust, rear end, engine, transmission. All this can get nicely detailed, and then we'll kind of make it look dirty and rough. The wheels on the car aren't too bad. They're not exactly like the real wheels on the Bluesmobile, but I think they're close enough. We'll just detail them out a little bit better. So the bumpers on the car, those will need a little bit of detailing, along with the grille and the front bumper and push bars, like I said. And then we're just going to have to try to make this car look a little bit more dirty and beat up, because it's pretty shiny and nice looking. And the real Bluesmobile was a little bit more beat up, obviously. And the real car has tan interior. This thing looks like it's got black interior. Yeah. So we'll give the interior a redo. So that is going to be this project. I hope you guys dig it. We're going to get this thing torn apart, really get a good look at what we're all working with, and then we'll go from there. Alright, gang, we're back on our Bluesmobile project. Got the thing drilled apart, and we're going to take a look at what we got going on inside of one of these things. So here's our wheels. As of right now, I'm still planning on just using these wheels, because they're fairly close to the stock looking wheels. Haven't 100% decided if this is what we're going to go with yet or not, but most likely probably. So here's a look at our chassis. Basically, this is just going to require a ton of detailing to it. Here is our interior. So this will have to go to a tan interior. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to have to do. And then basically here's our body. So this will just require some faux patina and some faux weathering. So that's basically all that's in one of these Johnny Lightning Bluesmobiles. So the next step is going to be, I think, detailing out the chassis and the interior, and then we'll do the body last as far as detailing, because I want to get some good pictures of, like, where there's some primer or some scratches or dirt and stuff, because you don't really see the underneath of the car too much in the movie. I guess you do maybe for a couple seconds here and there when the car is flying through the air or something, but that we can do pretty easily, but the exterior of the cars, I got to do a little bit of research on as far as where dirt needs to be or doesn't need to be, and stuff like that. And then the interior is just going to be kind of like a satin tan color. So that's the Bluesmobile so far, and we'll take a look at the car once I get some more detailing done, and we'll talk about how I'm going to detail it and what I'll use and stuff like that. Alright guys, so I've done pretty much all the detailing and weathering on the Bluesmobile project here. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I was looking at some images and pictures of the Bluesmobile, the one actually from the movie, not really so much replicas that people have built. And I kind of had to pick out certain things because I noticed basically that the Bluesmobile itself kind of gets slightly shittier through the course of the movie, just because of basically the storyline of the movie. So the car that towards the end of the movie is kind of more beat up than it is in the beginning of the movie. So I just kind of picked what I thought would be most accurate. So I'm going to talk about everything that I did and how I did it. So the first thing that I did was detail out the interior, because as we talked about, the interior in the real car is like a tannish colored interior. So I didn't want the interior to be super nice, even though it did turn out fairly nice looking. What I used to paint this was some of this classic caramel craft paint, and then I did the floors kind of to look just kind of dirty-ish. I might make the seats and stuff a little bit more dirty looking, but they're not too bad. That looks pretty good, I think. As far as the base of the car, I basically did the whole thing out just like a factory 74 Monaco would have looked, and then just kind of roughed it up, basically like how it would look after a bunch of years and winters on the Chicago streets as a police car prior to the Blues Brothers getting the car. So I did everything in a flat black, did the exhaust, transmission, gas tank silver, and then I mixed up a custom blue for the oil pan, because in 74 all the Dodges would have been painted a bluish color, basically like that. And then I went over everything with some of this Tester's rust, and basically just kind of put it where I thought it would be, like on the exhaust and kind of up in the wheel wells and on the rear end. Kind of made the transmission and oil pan look a little greasy and rusty with some flat black and some of the rust. Detailed out the push bar in the front with some flat black, and then kind of tried to make the bumpers look a little shitty. I didn't want to overly do the car and make it look too crappy, because again, I'm trying to make the car look as much like the one in the movie as possible. Here's the body. I painted the headliner the same interior color as the seats. And then I basically weathered the body using some of this khaki colored craft paint to just kind of make the car look dirty, unwashed, unwaxed, and just kind of beat up. And then I also add a little bit of rust here and there on the front. And then the car in the movie has like some kind of reddish brown primer down here on the front fender. So I did that also. Painted the spotlight. And I just kind of weathered this thing and made it look kind of beat up like the real car. And I'm really happy with the way this thing came out. I think it looks really good. All that's left to do now is basically put the car back together. The only thing that I'm debating on is I'm not sure yet if I want to run these wheels that came on this car from Johnny Lightning. I'm not a huge fan of them. If I do run them, I'll probably just detail them and kind of weather them to match the car. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this car. So we'll see you at the final unveil. And we'll take a look at the finished product all put together.